Hello and welcome everybody to the latest episode of N1 from the End Zone with your favorite host, King NPV. On this episode, we have a lot to cover, but before we get into it, I want to take a brief moment to thank all of you guys, my subscribers, for being a part of the channel. We're on a quest for 12,000 subs, so please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when the latest content drops. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. You're watching the latest episode of N1 from the End Zone. Please click on that subscribe button so you can be notified when the latest content drops. Now, let's kick it. All right, guys. So today's first topic of the day kicks off in the world of pro wrestling. WWE Hall of Famer, the legendary Hulk Hogan, has tragically passed away from a cardiac arrest. And Hulk Hogan, regardless of the racial comments that he made, I haven't heard the audio. I haven't really dove into that specter of things. But regardless of those issues, WWE would not be here because without the efforts of Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon working hand in hand to build what is now basically the WWE TKO, it, just taking over the wrestling world. Hulk Hogan won the title, I think, back in 1984 off the Iron Sheik, who only held it for, I think, he won it and basically just was a transitional champion off of Bob Backlund. And they put the title on Hulk, and Hulk basically skyrocketed pro wrestling to a completely different level in a different realm in the 1980s. It felt like, I guess, at the time that wrestling was dying, and Hulk, with his efforts, with his performances, with the way that he mastered the mic, for that time and for that era, was able to revive it. And he had legendary bouts, not just in the WWE, but for WCW. He was also a movie star. I'm only trying to focus on the positive here. I understand about the other thing. I think he even had a sex tape at some point. Go get him, Hulky. But with that being said, we remember him, we honor him, and we thank him for what he built for us basically today. I know the world of wrestling has completely changed from what it was back then, but it wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan. Maybe it'd be some other different promotion, but WWE as a whole, as what it is, would not be here if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan and basically putting the company on his back in the 1980s. Another, I guess, I don't know if he's a WWE Hall of Famer, but I do remember him and his family being on, I think, WWE Raw as a interim general manager. Ozzy Osbourne, the rock and roll legend, has also tragically passed away, I think, from Parkinson's. Sharon is devastated. Obviously, Sharon Osbourne is obviously devastated. That was her soulmate, her partner. I've just seen pictures of her crying. But yeah, Ozzy Osbourne passed away. And Crazy Train, I think that's the only song I really know. But I've known Ozzy because he's a legend in his realm. I know actually, strangely enough, I know Ozzy more from his movie and TV appearances than I do his music. And I do remember Crazy Train was one of like just the legendary song that, like, I remember. It was like, I think it was in a couple video games. It was also in, like, the theme song for a pay-per-view at one point. I forget how old it is. I feel like it's like an old song that's like come around a few times. But no, the legendary Rock and Roll Hall of Famer tragically passed away from Parkinson's. And I don't know, it feels like I guess a different world. I just can't believe they're gone. Like, for me, the Hulk Hogan passing uh it was kind of strange and eerie, because I was literally watching the rise and fall of NWO on Cultaholic and what happened with their run in WWE. So I was watching a documentary basically on Hulk Hogan. Um and I go to sleep and I wake up, and, like, I wake up to the news that Hulk tragically passed away. Um and it kind of just like, wow, I just couldn't believe it. Which I guess, yeah, I don't know, just I guess weird coincidences, right? You get told certain things in certain ways. But moving on to, I guess, other lighter, better, well, actually, really briefly, SmackDown. On SmackDown, they did a beautiful tribute to Hulk Hogan, basically recapping his legacy, all the positives that he basically had. Jimmy Hart came out, um, and Jimmy Hart was his manager for years. He was, I think, Jimmy was his best friend. He spent a lot of time with Hulk, even recently, like for years and decades. So like Kevin Nash when he lost Scott, Jimmy when he lost Hulk, same thing. And I wonder how Kevin Nash feels, because now he's the only living member left for NWO. And I just I just hope Big Sexy's good. Hope the Diesel's good. But now, actually, moving on to some lighter hearted news. Uh, AAA, I think, had an event today. As right or yesterday, I guess, because now it's Saturday. I always shoot these things late at night. Um, and it was a couple of interesting things that actually occurred. So basically, Hijo del Vikingo. Oh, so first of all, Alberto El Patron, loser, leaves AAA match basically, and he lost, I think, his final match. And WWE was adamant that they did not want Alberto El Patron to be on their roster. So I think they basically bought him out. Uh, the AAA for the last like month or so, as because Alberto before the acquisition was the AAA Mega Campeon champion. Um, but afterwards, he basically dropped the title to Vikingo, and the Mexican fans, they were not too thrilled about it, and basically they got behind Alberto El Patron. They got behind basically Alberto El Rio, Dos Caras, shout out. And I don't know. It's like Albert. I understand the issues that came with Alberto Del Rio and not really controlling himself. I even think like some of the stuff that like even when he does interview or has done interviews recently in Mexico, like they feel more like shoots than they feel staged or rehearsed. Um, so maybe he is a wild card, and that's why WWE does not want to do business with Alberto El Patron. But at the same time, the way that I see it, he has, in my opinion, the entire Mexican or a good portion of the Mexican fan base behind them. So I'm curious to see if this is just an angle or a work, and they eventually do come around and bring him back, because I don't know what Del Rio is gonna do now. Could he go to AEW with Sarai? Actually, I don't even think he'd go to AEW because of the issues and the history that he's had with Paige or Saraya. Maybe there's a way that he does business, but I'm curious to see what El Patron's next moves are going to be. Um, in other words, talking about the AAA Mega Campeon champion, Dragon Lee, El Grande Americano, also known as Ludwig Kaiser, because Chad Gable is currently injured, and Dominic Mysterio will all be facing off against Hijo del Vikingo, the current AAA Mega Campeon champion, for the title. I personally have a bias where I kind of want to see El Sucio, Dominic Mysterio, come out on top there and win the AAA Mega Campeonato. I just think it would be great. It would be amazing. Especially because I know Dominic, even though he is a heel, he has a lot of respect for Mexican lucha libre. Like he doesn't like he shows it in his ring attire with some of the stuff that he wears. And I really do think it would elevate AAA. It would elevate Dom, because I think Dom at some point could go for a world title run. Maybe not in the next couple years, maybe not in the next 3 or 4 years, but at some point, and putting this championship on him would help establish him. Realistically, I think Hijo del Vikingo retains his title because I don't think. Oh, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they put it on Grande. That would be a very interesting angle for WWE to work. But realistically, the smart move would be for them to just keep the title on Hijo del Vikingo. Although WWE has done some fuckery, ladies and gentlemen, with TNA, Lacey Lane, JC Lane, I forget her fucking name, but they put their NXT Women's title and the TNA Women's title on her. They got Trick Williams as the TNA World Champion. In my personal opinion, AJ motherfucking Styles should be the TNA World Champion. It would only be fitting. It would only be right if you're going to have any fucking WWE superstar be the TNA World Champion. It needs to be AJ Styles. And I'm hoping they fucking book it because the TNA World title, the way that it looks, fits perfectly with AJ Styles, in my personal opinion. And then what else did we have? Oh, the AAA World Tag Team titles are going to be defended next week on SmackDown. That's going to be an exciting match. Los Garzas will have an open challenge and see. We'll see who they face. We'll see who they face. I would love it if it's like the Wyatt Six or something. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like the Street Profits or something. Maybe it's the New Day. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see what happens when that match takes place. And also now that Seth Rollins is injured and CM Punk has that title match against Gunther, is there a long shot that Gunther drops the title to Punk? Or does Seth Rollins come in fucking crutches and just fuck over Punk? Realistically, Gunther could beat CM Punk cleanly and not necessarily like the title could Gunther could easily win and retain the title. He just beat Goldberg clean to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. So, but like there's another side of me where I kind of just want to feel like that 2009 feeling where CM Punk was kind of on top of the world. AEW on a weekly basis didn't have an issue putting Punk out there and then putting the title on him and having him compete like on a weekly basis. Fuck it. Why not give CM Punk a 3-month title reign and then just have Gunther beat him again? I don't know. I'd like to see CM Punk win a big match, win something at some point. It would be fitting. He doesn't need the world title to make him. I just think it would be cool. And that's just like the geek and the nerd in me, the fanboy in me. And then we got the Usos, or not the Usos, but we got the Tribal Chief and Main Event Jay versus Braun at SummerSlam. I think it's going to be 2 singles matches from what I was hearing. I don't know if they finally switched it into a tag team match. I'm not really excited for that match. I'm more excited for the Cody Rhodes versus John Cena matchup. And my money is on John. I would love it. I mean, if there's a possibility John could like give Cody what he wants, but in the heel thugonomics way, where he comes out rapping with the like fucking like in 2002, 2003. Was it 2002? No. 2002, 2003. Like John Cena, 2004. It's coming out like thugonomic. Like just hit that shit and just that would be cool. If not, I think they're gonna do a double turn where Cody becomes the heel and John becomes the babyface. And if that is the case, then hey, so be it. I think John Cena's run as a heel has been good. I think John Cena as a babyface is also money. And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that basically wraps up our pro wrestling segment right now. Shout out to Tony Storm, who beat Mercedes Moné at All In and is now scheduled, I think, to fight Athena, formerly known as Ember Moon, for the women's world title. And hey, realistically, Tony Khan made the right move by having Tony Storm retain the title against Mercedes Moné. That pile driver where, need I say less? The way that match ended, it was awesome. Tony Storm ate that cunt. Oh, that I just had to say it. But nah, it was a great match, a lot of storytelling. And if you haven't watched it, go and check it out. It was a banger. And yeah, that wraps up our wrestling segment. Let's move on to the NBA.
Guys, have you heard? Nelson, tell the people.
Stadium Mob Productions is an official affiliate of HBO Max. Click on the link in the description and sign up so you can watch hit series like Hard Knocks, Game of Thrones, and House of Dragons.
Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when the latest content drops.
If you're in the San Francisco Bay Area and want the best cut of your life, go check out Headspins Barbershop, located in South San Francisco, the official barbershop of N1 from the End Zone.
All right, guys, so let's jump into some hoop talk. So is it 2015? Because the Clippers are running it back with fucking James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Bradley Beal, Chris Paul, Ben Simmons, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe 2017. My bad. 2017, 2018. Brooke Lopez. They got Ty Lue over there. And Ty Lue, as long as they got Ty Lue over there, they got big names. Which means they got depth, right? Or they just need those big names to be like 80 to 70% of what they've been in their career. And with Ty Lue, they got a shot to make the playoffs. Maybe win a first round. Maybe somehow miraculously, if things fall their way, make it to the Western Conference Finals. But I just don't know if they'll win a championship because those guys are old. CP3 is damn near pushing 40. Harden, I think, is like 35, 36, if not 37. He's close. He's on the wrong side of 30. Okay, if there was a wrong side of 30, I think James Harden is there. Kawhi Leonard, we know his injury issues. And I just don't know. Brooke Lopez, I think he was a bit hurt last season. But hey, Ty Lue is a phenomenal head coach, in my opinion. And if there's anybody that could get the most out of those guys, it probably is Ty Lue. And I think they got a shot to compete for the playoffs. I don't think they'll be a play-in team. I think they'll be in the playoffs. I think they'll be a first or second round team. But realistically, a title is a long shot for me. I think there's going to be a lot of fun games. I don't know if it'll be the return of Lob City because they do got like bigs like Zubac and Brooke Lopez, and you got CP3 there that could just run the floor. He's a ring general. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. They also got Bradley Beal there. And if Bradley Beal can be 70 or 80% of what he was, not last year, but a couple years ago, was it a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago? Then they should be fine. In other news, JK, Jonathan Kuminga, for my Warriors he's just in no rush to sign his deal with the Warriors. He's exploring options away from the team because I think he's just fed up with the role that Steve Kerr has in playing in, especially because I personally think him and Trace Jackson Davis have a lot of potential. I've been a little bit frustrated with the role that he's had, and even because I've seen spurts that he's just shown that he can be that guy. He can be the future for the Warriors. I just don't think he's gotten a fair shake when it's come down to it. I think he's like 21, 22, if not 23 years old. So he's still getting into his grown man body. I think he can still grow too. I hope they can find a resolution here where even if it is a sign and trade, we get something comparable in return that's actually going to help this team compete for a championship this year. Cough, cough, trade him for Klay Thompson and bring Klay and Megan Thee Stallion to the Bay, baby. Cough, 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 cough. I would love that. Man, bring back Klay. Give me Klay, Jimmy, fucking Klay, Jimmy, Steph, Draymond. Those 4 guys together, I think they could win a championship. I know it ain't 20 anymore. It's not 2016 anymore. But I think those four guys can win a championship. You can let me dream, let me believe. But that's just my personal opinion. I kind of just hate how we haven't been able to work it out with JK, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Jonathan Kuminga. In my last episode, however, I did say I think Damian Lillard would go back home to Portland, and with Chauncey Billups there, with the roster that they have basically building for the future, I think they got Scoot Henderson over there, Young Hassan, who I think is going to be the next Yao Ming, if not better than Yao Ming. He's got like fucking Jokic, he got ball handling, he can score. He dominated the CBA, which is the Chinese Basketball League, the last couple of years. And I think he's like, 19, 20 years old? He might be 18 if I'm not mistaken. So Yang Hassan, guys, like, plus Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday, they got a squad out there in Portland that could be like the Indiana Pacers, could be like the Oklahoma City Thunder in the next 2 to 3 years. You just never know. But they're building, and I think they got a shot when Dame comes back. Maybe not next year, but 2 years down the road. I think it's a 3-year deal, and I think I think it's a 3-year deal. And it's a healthy deal too. It's not like he's taking chump change. I think he got like 20 million a year, if not like 8 million over the next 3 years. I gotta look into the deal. I haven't looked into it. All I know is Dame is back in Portland and he's happy as hell. Family's happy as hell. And last but not least, Marcus Smart signing with the Lakers. LeBron not really having anything to do with the deal. Luka coming out, recruiting, being the focal point, being the centerpiece of the Lakers franchise like he should be, because literally this could be LeBron's last year, maybe next year's LeBron's last year. We just don't know. I think LeBron is going to play until he has a catastrophic injury, like he tears his ACL or something. It's kind of similar like Kobe, and he just hangs it up at that point. But yeah, LeBron, there's some speculation that he might be traded. There's some speculation that he might stay. But if he comes or if he goes, we've seen like LeBron is still a contributor. I think the best deal for LeBron was if he opted out. If anything, the best thing LeBron could have probably done is opted out. And then if he wanted to compete for a championship, get feelers and see what teams really wanted him to compete for a championship and see what deals were out there for him that gave him a good chance to win. But he opted in. LeBron is very adamant that I think he never wants to play for anything under the minimum because his skill set doesn't warrant it. But that's his decision, and he's more than welcome to make whatever decision he wants to make. I think winning another championship could be more beneficial in the long run financially than just taking all the money and not really having the guys around you to win a championship, especially if you're going to be competing in the GOAT debate with MJ. If Curry, by some miracle, wins another championship in the next year or two, you're in that conversation with Curry. You're in the conversation with Curry, not MJ anymore. You're in that conversation with Curry because in your era, Steph Curry won more championships. I'm just saying, in MJ's era, nobody won more championships than MJ when he was playing. That's it. All right, guys. So now let's talk about the WNBA. So the WNBA All-Star game was a success in many ways. It wasn't as highly viewed as last year's when Caitlin Clark was playing, but people still tuned in to a higher degree. It was the second highest viewed WNBA All-Star game, and I think the WNBA All-Star game's history. Players had shirts on with "Pay us what you owe us," basically because currently they are in the middle of new CBA negotiations. And to be completely frank, what the WNBA players are looking for? I'm just curious what a fair salary and compensation would be. The only reason why I'm curious to see what the fair compensation would be or the fair package would be is because I look at the WNBA, like I've always said, like where the NBA was in year 25 for NBA, because I think the NBA has been around for 75 to 100 years now at this point. So the WNBA has only been around, I think, 25 years, right? So their metric should be where they are, where the NBA was by year 25. Now, granted, the economy and the way the world works now, it's not the same, right? So there needs to be a higher pay increase. Now, what should the minimum, in my personal opinion, be for the WNBA players? Well, because the season is, I think, about 47 games to 48 games, what would be fair is something around the lines of, I think the minimum right now is like 70,000. Minimum should be tripled. I think minimum for a WNBA player should be at least $200,000, if not $250,000. And then max deal should go according to production, according to level. Like a player like Asia Wilson, whose salary right now. Actually, let me give you Asia Wilson's salary, current salary. Yeah, Asia Wilson should not be making 200,000 a year. Uh, Asia Wilson, in my honest opinion, should be making at least like $1 million to maybe $3 million a year. That needs, yeah, that's too low. And the only reason, and that's where I go into what is a fair compensation package for the WNBA players? Because I like realistically, Asia Wilson could be making somewhere between 2 to 3 million a year to like 4 or 5 million a year. Um, I'd say she's even personally, I think she's worth like 10 million a year. Just because of the marketability, which she's like, she's one of the faces of the league aside from like Caitlin Clark. She, if anything, she's been the face of the league longer than Caitlin Clark. Um, so she deserves a big chunk of the pie. She deserves a very big chunk of the pie. But with that being said, is the WNBA a profitable business yet? Are they able to sustain themselves without necessarily having the NBA basically finance the entire league? And then if that is the case, players should get paid what they deserve. But if they do get paid what they deserve or what they've earned, does that mean we're going to get more WNBA games, more product? Because at the same time, like if you're going to be asking for equal pay to like what the guys get, guys are playing like 82 game seasons. Like I'm not saying each individual player, but the NBA plays 82 regular season games, and then you got the playoffs. The WNBA should play closer to like 50 to 60 games a season, and then um their chunk of the pie should match whatever the revenue split should be. I think right now it's like an 80-20 split. The NBA has like a 50-50. If it's not 80-20, it's like 10, it's like 90-10 in the favor of like the league and the owners. And the new split should be closer to like 30 to 40%. 50-50 I think is too close, and I don't know if the product is there just yet, but hey, 40%, we'll see where 40% gets us. Again, the league is riding on the way on the coattails of Caitlin Clark, who has been a godsend to the league. Same with Paige Beckers, Angel Reese. You got Asia Wilson, that rivalry that came from the NCAA with Angel and Caitlin. Then you got Juju Watkins coming in next year. Guys, the WNBA is in good hands. It's a lot more marketable. It's a lot more entertaining. And I'm excited for the future of the league. Again, I think the CBA is like a 5. I forget how long the CBA agreements are. I think it's like 5 to 8 years, somewhere between 5 to 10 years. It's a 5-year agreement. So after 5 years, then they have the option to renegotiate the agreement. And honestly, like, yeah, by in the next 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised if they get the same split that the NBA gets. But again, it's a process. Give it time. And with that being said, officiating needs to get better because Caitlin Clark, who hasn't been playing or who has missed the majority of the season. Because the Fever, I said it. If Caitlin Clark plays, I think the Fever have an opportunity to win the title. Caitlin Clark has not been healthy. Caitlin Clark is dealing with a groin injury. She's been dealing with a lot of injuries. It's been the WNBA is a much more physical, much more cheeky league. And it's taken a toll on my homegirl, CC. I hope she gets better. I hope we get to see her. I hope the Fever make the playoffs, and I hope we get to see her in the playoffs, because if she does come back, I think she gives the Fever enough juice to win the WNBA title this year and make it a clean sweep. The Commissioner's Cup plus the WNBA championship. Boom. There's no discussion. Caitlin Clark is undisputably the right now face, right? The goat. I can't say that without a little grin, because I still think Asia Wilson is the star, the overall killer in the league, right? But CC, when she plays, she brings eyeballs. Paige Beckers, I think she brings eyeballs. Angel Reese, I think she's also dealing with injury. So, yeah, Caitlin Clark, hopefully the officiating gets better. Hopefully Caitlin comes back, because it has taken a toll on the WNBA. And I think it might affect their negotiating stance a little bit until CC comes back. Let's transition to the world of American football, the NFL, baby. Guys, you're watching a Shady Mob production. Make sure to follow the Shady Mob podcast, where we break down all the latest content and talk about life. Please make sure to share, like, comment, and subscribe so you can be notified when the latest content drops. All right, guys, so let's dive into the world of NFL football. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals have finally come to terms with their first overall pick, Shamar Stewart, on a fully guaranteed $18.97 million deal, with a $10.4 million signing bonus. With that being said, they have resolved one of their two defensive issues. They are still holding out, or still trying to figure out the whole Trey Hendrickson situation. And although they did sign the number one overall pick, Shamar Stewart's numbers in college does not necessarily signify that he can be a replacement for the production that Trey Hendrickson had. And since defense was the biggest issue for the Cincinnati Bengals last year, and Trey Hendrickson, even though defense was an issue for the Bengals, led the league in sacks, had a tremendous year, they should prioritize now, by all means necessary, getting the Trey Hendrickson deal situated, because with all due respect to Shamar Stewart, you're getting paid, you're making your money, but I don't think he'll be able to even get a quarter of the production that Trey Hendrickson got the entirety of last season. With that being said, because we know the offense was tremendous last year for the Bengals. Perine, Jamar Chase, fucking T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, those guys are gonna they put up the points. They put up 40, 50 fucking almost 50 points a fucking game. They couldn't win the games because the other team was scoring more points on the Bengals defense. Now you got a new defensive coordinator who's from college, not necessarily proven in the league, and you don't have your number one pass rusher there. Because of the drama, personally, I think the Bengals are more likely to miss the playoffs than they are making it this year, or even making a conference championship run, maybe a Super Bowl run. Yes, I know they have the great Joe Burrow, but again, Zach Taylor, since the Super Bowl that he's made it, since the Super Bowl appearance that they had, where they could have won, where they should have beat the fucking Rams, in my personal opinion, Zach Taylor hasn't necessarily lived up to it. They always come off to a slow start to start the season. And this year, it's been reported that Joe Burrow is going to play the preseason. They're going to get tuned up. They're going to go ready, so they go hit the ground running hard week one. With Joe Burrow's injury history, we'll see if he'll be able to stay healthy. I still think, because of all the noise, the Bengals are more likely to miss the playoffs. I think the Ravens win the division again. I think the Steelers have a better shot at making the playoffs. I think the Bengals are third on that list. And fourth on that list would be the Cleveland Browns, which actually takes me to my next point. Shedeur Sanders, Joe Barry, their general manager, has come out not necessarily scolding Shedeur, but making public comments saying that it wasn't smart, and that if you are basically, if you want to be a franchise quarterback, or if you are if you are in the less than the 1% of the 1% of the population in America, and you have a job that less than the 1% of the 1% of the 1% can have, you're not a starting quarterback, but you are on an NFL roster. You're competing to be on the Cleveland Browns, be a part of the Cleveland Browns organization, be on their day one roster, 53-man roster when the season starts. You can't be making these stupid boneheaded plays or these stupid bonehead moves. It's coming from me, who has multiple speeding tickets, who has had issues with license suspended because of driving violation. Bro, you have it, you can pay the fines or whatever, but you have to hold yourself to a much higher standard. As somebody like me, who's just an average American living his everyday life, it does affect you. You get your licenses, these are issues that you get points to your licenses. I don't know how it works out in Cleveland, but you might have to go to driving school. It's time out of your day that you gotta maneuver. You might have to miss practice because you gotta go handle some parking ticket fucking issues so you don't get points on your licenses. This is the lifestyle you're gonna live, right? So it's just all these little things that Shedeur just needs to think about. And I know that people think it's oh, Shadeur's gonna make the roster, they're gonna carry 4 quarterbacks. Realistically, the Browns, they drafted Dylan Gabriel to be essentially the heir apparent. They're realistically, I think he'll be the third or second string quarterback behind Joe Flacco. I think Kenny Pickett, if Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel have a good showing in the preseason, I think Kenny Pickett might be traded for a weapon or something that's going to help them in their development. But realistically, I don't think Shedeur is going to be cut. I think he'll be placed on the practice squad. I don't think Shedeur is going to be placed on the practice squad. I think he'll make the roster simply because he is a big name and teams might like him. And if he has a decent showing in the preseason, then teams are definitely going to want to monitor that situation. I think they're going to trade Kenny Pickett by the time the second week of the preseason starts, and we're going to see Kenny Pickett someplace else. Joe Flacco is going to be the starter this year. And let's not forget that they have Deshaun Watson on the roster. I don't know what he's doing or where he's been, but Deshaun Watson is still there, and we're going to see what happens with Deshaun. Another headline that has made the realms or the news is the Raiders cutting Christian Wilkins, who they recently signed, I think this past year in March, to a long-term extent, so a 3 or 4 year, $92 million extension, something like that. Basically, they voided his contract, said that he wasn't rehabbing something that needed to be rehabbed a certain way. I think he required foot surgery and he opted against it, and because of that, they decided to basically cut him and void his contract. He's obviously filed a grievance against the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think the reason why they cut him was because if the Raiders win this dispute or whatever, then they'll have the cap space to manipulate over the next year or two to sign other players. And because it is a different regimen, that the Las Vegas Raiders are in. I think he signed while it was somebody else's, while it was still under that fiasco of the Josh McDaniels era or whatever happened last year, right? No, that wasn't Josh McDaniels. I think it was Antonio Pierce. So after that fiasco, I think now they're cleaning house basically over in Las Vegas. I still think the Raiders are the Raiders, and whether it's Las Vegas or Oakland or Los Angeles or wherever they are, they're still garbage. They are still not gonna compete for anything. I just, yeah, man, it's you got the AFC West with the Kansas City Chiefs, who I think are still gonna win the division. I think the Chargers make it a close second. Broncos make it a close third. I think those three teams make the playoffs, and I think the Raiders miss it. I know Pete Carroll has come out and said that he thinks that they can win 10 games this year. I don't know. I know he has his quarterback. I know he has Ashton Genty, who is going to be, I think he's going to be a stud. They don't necessarily have a good receiving core. And that offensive line, in my personal opinion, is still shaky. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. But I don't think the Raiders have what it takes this year to really make the playoffs. Now, to cap this all off, let's talk about my San Francisco 49ers. Recently Malik Mustafa has been spotted, looking amazing. And it's funny because now I'm starting to hear pundits and sports commentators and everybody, oh, I think the Niners are gonna be good this year. No shit. Have you seen the fucking schedule? Like, even when the schedule came out, people were reluctant. But the Niners are deep. I've been saying for the longest amount of fucking time. I know we've had like reports where Juwan Jennings, they think that like Juwan Jennings is gonna he's disgruntled because of his contract situation. He was in his last year. Juwan had a good year last year. He's got a shot at being the number one, but he also understands he's not necessarily penciled in as the number one. We got Jacob Cowing. We got Ricky Pearsall, who we drafted last year. Ricky's was a our first round pick last year. Okay, like we paid Brandon, who isn't necessarily healthy, but he can still come back. I expect him to be there by week 1, if not by week 2 or 3. I think we're gonna be fine if Isaac Guerrero can take another step forward. We got CMC. If there can be a 50-50, 55-60, like 40 split there, Kyle shouldn't just necessarily run the fucking ball all the time with CMC. You got other options, especially Guerrero, who has proven him, who has shown glimpses that he can be the equivalent to CMC at his age and eventually take the mantle from him. The defense, in my personal opinion, is going to look great with Nick Bosa, Bryce Huff, and Mikael Williams, the new guy that we just drafted this year. We got Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa as our safeties. We have decent corners in Renardo Green and fucking Diamador Lenore. I think Renardo Green is going to take another step forward this year. I think we still got Yadam. We still got Isaac Yadam, who I thought played well for us last year. We're fine. And we got fucking Robert Saleh calling the defensive plays. Like, I'm confident. As long as we can move off of fucking Jake motherfucking Moody. Like, Jake Moody's just as bad as Kyle Williams. He gives me PTSD, ladies and gentlemen. God. If we can move off Jake Moody, I think, and we can find a kicker that can win games in the clutch, because Brady had a fucking kicker. Peyton had a kicker. Breeze had a kicker. Fucking Mahomes has a fucking kicker. What's his face? Jake Elliott, the fucking kicker for the fucking Philadelphia Eagles. Every team that has won the fucking Super Bowl has had a legitimate kicker. And that is what we are missing. We need a kicker that, if the game comes down to a field goal, wins the game, he can hit that field goal and not choke like Jake Moody fucking does. If we can get that resolved, I'm confident in my Niners. You can put money on us making it to the NFC Championship game. Now, when we get there, I don't know if we'll win. I don't know if we'll lose, but we'll see how the season goes. But you can bet money that the San Francisco 49ers are making it back to the NFC Championship game this year. Take that to the bank. With that being said, we'll be right back and we'll hit the world of soccer, or as I like to call it, European football.
Guys, join me, Alex the Man Angelov, and check out A&A Radio, where we're going to be talking about the latest and greatest financial news, investments, banking, and personal finance. Check out the channel and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when the latest content drops.
Guys, have you heard? Shady Mob Productions is an official affiliate of HBO Max. Click on the link in the description and sign up so you can watch hit series like Hard Knocks, Game of Thrones, and House of Dragons. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when the latest content drops. All right, guys, so let's wrap up with the world of European football. Let's start off with my beloved Gunners. We have finally signed our striker, Viktor Gyökeres, from Sporting CT, for Sporting Lisbon, for a fee of like 73 million. It's like 63 million plus 10 million in add-ons. And he will be hopefully joining the Gunners on their Asia tour for the preseason here shortly. I'm excited because they were linked with Benjamin Sesko. And like I said in a previous episode, where I thought Benjamin Sesko, for what the Gunners needed, was not necessarily the guy. I thought the guy that we needed to get was Viktor Gyökeres, who was a solid number 9 striker in front of goal. He had a great season with Coventry his last year. I think it was in the first division, in the championship, not necessarily in the Premier League with Coventry before he made his move to Lisbon. And when he went to Portugal, he's been stellar. He's had the last like 3 years, he's had a great performance for Sporting CP. So with that being said, him coming to the Gunners, coming to Arsenal at the ripe age of 27, where last year I think he scored or contributed over 50 goals in either scoring or assisting. It's an exciting time. We haven't had, in my personal opinion, a striker. We haven't had a striker in, I think, like, since Van Persie left for Manchester United fucking 15 years ago, right? I know we had Lacazette, who I thought was going to be a great success for Arsenal when he joined from Olympique Lyon. Never translated with the Gunners into the English Premier League. I thought Aubameyang, I never saw Aubameyang as a solid striker. I thought he was more or less a winger who I think they try to make into a striker. He just didn't fit for me personally. I didn't personally like Aubameyang's stint with the Gunners, even though he had a phenomenal performance for Barcelona. But yeah, Giroud, when he was with Arsenal, wasn't necessarily a lethal finisher. And the list goes on, Danny Welbeck. It's been years. And with Viktor Gyökeres, I thought Gabriel Jesus, when we signed him, he was going to be that missing piece, that goal scorer, because he was proven in the Premier League, even though they went in a different direction, in the direction of Julian Alvarez, I believe, at the time, when we got Jesus. Granted, Julian Alvarez then got replaced by Erling Haaland, but I thought Gabriel Jesus was going to be that guy for us. Last year, he was plagued by an injury, and even before the injury, he wasn't necessarily Mikel Arteta's number 1 option because of the lack of being able to find the back of the net. That's why they went with Kai Havertz, and Kai Havertz, after he got injured, I feel like he's more of an attacking midfielder, not necessarily a solid striker at the number 9 position. So with the move of Thomas Partey now leaving, we have Declan Rice. We can have now Kai Havertz with Odegaard in the midfield, and now we got Viktor Gyökeres at the number 9 position. We still have Martinelli, who, even though we've signed Noni Madueke, I think Martinelli is still better than Madueke, and I think he's going to have a better season this year now that he has number 9, like a lethal striker, like a striker option at the 9 position. That's just going to allow Saka and Martinelli to have more freedom, because the focus won't necessarily just be driven. Because last season, I felt like a lot of the focus was driven on Martinelli because Saka was injured and we didn't have a number 9. So a lot of pressure was put on Martinelli last season. Now that we have basically our attacking three, I think Martinelli is going to have a phenomenal season this year. I think Saka's going to have a good season. I think Gyökeres is going to have a good season. And I really believe now this year has to be the year the Gunners win the Premier League. There is no excuse anymore. We got Mikel Arteta's goalkeeper in Raya because he wanted Raya, right? I think our defense in Saliba and Gabriel is set. I think we have Lewis Skelly, who's coming up in that left wing back position. I forget who our right back is, but I know that position also set. I think it's still Ben White, if I'm not mistaken. But we also have now Declan Rice, who had a phenomenal season last year, taking the mantle essentially when like a lot of the team was injured. Partey was dealing with injuries, Odegaard was dealing with injuries, Saka was dealing with injuries, Jesus, Kai Havertz, everybody was basically dealing with injuries. Martinelli, I think, even dealt with injuries at some point. We got depth with Trossard. We got depth in the bench. We now have Zubamendi. We're a deep squad. We have a deep squad. So if we got injuries that we got to deal with, we have players that can replace those players. And I really do think we're as deep in terms of players and depth as Liverpool, as Manchester City. We're definitely going to finish in the top four. I'd be surprised if we don't finish in the top four, but I realistically expect us to win the Premier League this year. Even though I know Liverpool has bolstered, they lost Diogo Jota. It's going to be an emotional season for Liverpool this year, trying to defend that title with Arne Slot. And Manchester City, if they can find a way to turn it around, they're still a threat, in my personal opinion, with Pep Guardiola, Erling Haaland, Bernardo Silva, like that team as a whole. I think, Rodri. I don't think Bernardo Silva's there anymore, but Rodri for sure. If he can find his form, I think Manchester City is still there. Even though they didn't necessarily have a stellar performance in the Club World Cup, it's still last season. Once they go on vacation, come back, it's a new season. It'll be a new mentality, and we'll see how they go. We'll see how Manchester City goes. But like I said, I expect Arsenal to be the team this year. And then let's talk about Barcelona. Like I also said in one of my previous episodes, I thought Darwin Nunez, I thought Marcus Rashford were better suited to fit into Barcelona than Luis Diaz, than a Nico Williams, because basically you're looking for a player to be a substitute for those guys. You have your midfield set with Pedri, with De Jong, whether that be Dani Olmo, whether that be Gavi. You have your midfield set. You have five. Fermin Lopez. We can't forget about Fermin Lopez. You got 5 to 6 players that you can trust in the midfield, and you can even use them as wingers. Now you got Ferran Torres, who had a good performance, who had a great season last year, especially when Lewandowski went down. He was a super sub, right? Now you can relieve some of that pressure. Now you have Marcus Rashford, who can play either left wing, who can play the right wing, who can substitute in for Lamine Yamal, who just signed a new contract. He just turned 18, who's now going to be wearing the number 10 iconic number 10 jersey, which I'm excited about. You can also play in the left wing, where I think he's a bit more comfortable substituting in for Rafinha. And he can also play as a striker right down the middle, coming in for Lewandowski. Now you have Barcelona is deeper. I think Marcus Rashford was the perfect fit for what Barcelona needed right now, because you don't want to necessarily, I don't believe you want to shake up what was working. Rafinha had a stellar season last year, the best of his career by all intents and purposes, and Lamine Yamal coming into his own. Now you have depth. If Ferran Torres goes down, you still have Marcus Rashford, and hopefully Marcus Rashford finds his stride with Barcelona. They gave him the number 14 jersey, which I for me, it's kind of it's shades of Thierry Henry, who had the 14, right? And I think he's gonna fit in well. I think he's gonna fit in well. We have John Laporta, who is gonna essentially be the new number one. We got Wojciech Szczesny, who's gonna be the backup essentially this year. I think they still got Inaki Pena, or he might have already moved away. And then we got Ter Stegen, who's gonna go on injured, who's basically gonna have a surgery, who will be out for 3 months. He doesn't necessarily want to leave Barcelona. He wants to compete for the starting role. He's basically the captain, been there for the last like 10 years. Basically, he's earned it. But he doesn't want to move away. He wants to play for Barcelona. He wants to play for Germany next year in the World Cup. And he's basically going to see what the goalkeeper room looks like this season after the first 3 months of the season for Barcelona. And there might be a chance that he comes back. If it's just not salvageable, then he'll have to move during the January transfer window, so he get playing time and be the number one option for Germany going into next season. But yeah, on another note, let's talk about the MLS deciding to suspend Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba for not participating in the All-Star game, which I fucking think is ridiculous. In an all-star game, whether it be NBA, whether it be the major leagues, whether it be the WNBA, whether it be the fucking NFL Pro Bowl, which is another version of the all-star game. It's just the American football version of it. It's an option. Players can opt out of it. Nobody needs to be suspended for not showing up to the all-star game. Especially if you've had you're at a stage in your career, like for example, Messi's 38. I think Jordi Alba's 36. Injuries are a thing. Lengthy seasons like this, in my personal opinion, this is ridiculous on behalf of the MLS. And I hope that it is appealed and it is rescinded, because Messi and Alba do not deserve to be suspended for a game for not playing in the MLS All-Star game. The club should not be punished. It should be optional for players. If they want to play and participate, they can go play and participate. But yeah, this is ridiculous in my personal opinion. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of this episode. Guys, thank you for watching the latest episode of Unwin from the End Zone with your favorite host, King NPV. Please leave a comment. Please hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when the latest content drops. Now, always remember, desire is power, and if you desire to be great, you have the power to be great. Thank you for watching the latest episode. I'll see you next time.